2, 1.
Welcome back, everybody, to Hitting the Field. This is HTF Bets. As always, I'm your host, Tyler Caron. We have a great show for you today. Diving in first to NFL as usual. Then, of course, going to tell you about fantasy football and about how I'm the last undefeated team in the league. Last UCF football is back, so we're going to dive into that in their game versus Navy this weekend. So stay with us because it all starts now. Welcome back, everybody. Joining me as always are my two co-hosts, Sheppard and Okelo Peña. And boys, NFL football this last weekend, we saw history. We saw the record of Justin Tucker kicking the longest field goal in NFL's history at 66 yards against Riley's Detroit Lions. Riley, like I said, that's history, and it hurts that it's against your team, but
Justin Tucker loves playing the Lions.
Yeah,
Monday Night
He
Football back 2013, I remember that.
We can add Justin Tucker to the most hated people in Detroit list, but no, as much as it hurts, I mean, that's just incredible. I have to give greatness where it's due. Like, that is incredible, especially as time is expiring, breaking NFL record. Like, that is something that I'm sure Justin Tucker dreamed of growing up. Like, I can't even imagine. With all those screaming fans, like that's amazing.
Absolutely.
As much as it hurt due to the Lions.
Well, you guys got cursed because they didn't call a delay of game penalty at the final few seconds. So Lions are cursed, Riley. I'm sorry about that, man.
Right. I've known that for like 20 years on this earth.
It's been a rough
Curse of Bobby Lane still exists. Bobby Lane still exists.
But that is not the only, so that was the history for last week. We will also, most likely, unless something goes completely wrong, we're going to see another record get broken of passing yards by Tom Brady. That's my game of the week this week is the Bucs heading into Tom Brady's return in New England. He is 69 yards away from that passing record. And I think it's just all going to happen as soon as that first drive, if they start with the ball, that's when it's going to happen. The throw is going to be a touchdown. That's going to give him that 69th yard. And, I mean, New England's going to go crazy. It's Tom Brady.
Right.
There's all love for Foxborough.
Absolutely. But what surprised me about this game, the spread is set at 6.5 versus the Patriots, who, although are my team, have been terrible this year. Terrible. Mac Jones, he's a rookie quarterback, okay? But the offense is just stagnant.
Sorry about James White, Tyler. Sorry about that.
That's a tough blow there. But again, the offense, there's just not much going at all. And there's been nothing that shows that they're going to compete with the Tampa Bay Bucs. Although they lost to the Rams last week, they're still the Bucs with those weapons. So it blows my mind that it's at 6.5.
The most entertaining part of this game is going to be Tom Brady breaking that record. This game is not going to be close. The Bucs are going to blow them out of the water in Foxborough.
My biggest storyline, I just can't wait to see how him and Bill Belichick meet at the middle of the field.
It's going to be great to see.
Robert Kraft has to be down on the sideline all game.
As an NFL football fan, it's just something that everyone is looking forward to. And as a Patriots fan and myself, this is something that, you think back to the young days where Tom Brady was just coming onto the scene. That's been my whole lifetime. It's Tom Brady as a Patriot up until last year. So definitely going to be a pretty cool moment. Want to move on to you guys. What are your games of the week this week in NFL?
Well, I'll start off, Tyler. I think it's very interesting, and I want to give a shout-out to our boy Grant, who's not with us. But I'm going with a bit of a sleeper game, the Colts and the Dolphins game. Now, I'm surprised that the Dolphins were 1.5-point favorites against Indianapolis, which I think is a bunch of hot garbage that the Dolphins, who don't even have Tua, whose offense is barely skidding by on their collective teeth, that they think that the Indianapolis Colts are going to lose that game. Nah, I really look for Indianapolis to find a way to bounce back, get their first win, because I love Frank Reich. He knows how to turn this thing around. They may not have Quentin Nelson, but at the end of the day, I just think, and I'm looking forward to it because it's going to be the battle of an old Colt quarterback versus the new guard, Carson Wentz, Jacoby Brissett. I think it's going to be a very solid game, almost as what the Raiders and Dolphins gave us last week.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very solid game for me to not watch and watch better games because I get for the 1.5-point line. I agree with you on that. However, this is just a game that no NFL fan should watch. This is going to be the ugliest game of the weekend by far, I think.
No, I do agree that the Raiders game last weekend was so fun to watch. The Raiders are actually Raiders and Chargers is going to be my game of the week this week. Justin Herbert balled out this past weekend. Outplayed Patrick Mahomes, played phenomenal in the fourth quarter, finished with around 280 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. He made all the big plays when they needed him to, and I think Justin Herbert is going to be a very underrated quarterback. I know people were very high on him going into the year, but I still think people are sleeping on him a little bit, and I think that's going to be a very fun game to watch this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And Derek Carr has had a really good season so far, and that goes.
Is it me or is this 2016 where he's turning back to when he was an MVP candidate?
I mean, through 3 weeks of this year, he has been an MVP candidate. If you would have told me before the season started that Derek Carr would be averaging 400 yards a game going into week 4, I would not have believed you, but here we are.
Here we are. And yeah, like you said, Okelo, he's giving those flashbacks to a couple of seasons ago when he was in the MVP talks. And I remember, again, as a Patriots fan, I wanted them to draft Derek Carr so bad. We end up with Garoppolo. That was that same
And then you
draft.
Traded him.
And then now he's gone in San Fran.
And now he's in San Francisco.
Yeah, I think that the Chargers cover this spread. I think they give the Raiders their first loss on the season. And that's no disrespect to the Raiders. Like I said, they have been a team who have come out and started the season hot under Gruden. And I just don't think that the level of play that they've had the last 3 weeks is what we can expect from them the whole season.
No. History tends to repeat itself. They're gonna start off hot. They're gonna get everybody, especially in Vegas, be like the Raiders, and then all of a sudden they're gonna break everybody's heart like they do at the end of the season. So I'm not touching it with a 6-inch pole.
There are, I would probably say at least 5 that I could name off the top of my head, that teams that are better than the Raiders right now, and th're gonna finish 11-5, 12-4. But like you said, they're not. I say they win a playoff game, but they're not going to be going any farther.
They're not going to the playoffs. They're not.
I don't know if the Raiders are going to the playoffs.
I have the Chargers over going to the playoffs before the Raiders.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Raiders can sneak in a wild card, but in that division, I think it's the Chargers' division to take. Absolutely.
Look, this is the Wild Wild West, and I ain't talking Will Smith right now. And the AFC West is as wild as it gets. What can I say? I love the Fresh Prince, and I'm the Fresh Prince of Pickens. So.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, we can all disagree with that. All you have to do is look at the past shows to see how he is the last HTF Bets host you want to listen to. That's all the time that we have for NFL this week. But stay with us. We'll be coming right back with our Fantasy Football League update.
No way! Welcome to the HTF Hot Wings Challenge. One of you guys actually do hot sauce like regularly?
No. It's like the least black thing I do.
Oh, wow, okay.
I say Johnny goes first on this one.
I agree.
No, the Buccaneers are going to play the Washington football team.
That can't happen.
It will happen.
I'm terrified.
No, I really hate it.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. No. You're wrong. If it wasn't for Kanye jumping up on stage and doing the, I'm gonna let you finish, but no one would know what this was.
Nitros, dump truck. And if you don't know what I'm talking about,
Why is nitro thick?
I don't know how many squats I need to do to get up like something like that, but I will do it.
Oh! Oh my God!
Baseball, obvious reasons. Babe Ruth. You want to go currently? I feel like that's just like a thing.
he jumped off the wall to catch the home run. We made it through all the way to the end. Thank you for joining us.
I'm never doing this again.
Welcome back, everybody. We are now 3 weeks into our Fantasy Football League that contained all of the hosts for the HTFN shows. The impossible happened. It finally happened. Okelo Peña has won a fantasy football matchup. He went against Kyle, who was undefeated, and Okelo, you came out with the win, which also makes me the last undefeated team in the league. So
I came, I saw, I conquered. Johan, Kyle, I got you.
he did, and
Feels so good to win.
Okelo finally won one. We'll see how he does going forward. So we're going to show you all of the results from the last week here.
No more 0-10.
You had Johnny Jackson going against Austin Walker. Johnny came out with the win on that one. I took down Alex Funderburk from the main show. Riley Sheppard lost to Ross Bernstein. Okelo, as we mentioned, beat Kyle DeWitt, and Caleb Burge and beat Hannah Joe. Kayla was the high point this week with 136.
And playing her as an opponent this week, Tyler, I'm a little bit nervous. I mean, you got Josh Allen, you got Cooper Kupp on your roster.
She's got a squad of ballers, that's for sure. But
I need Angels to hopefully beat her so that I can have another confetti moment like today.
You need to pray. You need Angels just to win against anybody in this league.
Listen, I'm not 0-10 no more. You will respect me as a viable contender now for the Super Bowl of the fantasy. Thank you very much.
Well,
so everybody at HTF, I want my restitution. I won. I came. I saw. You praise the Lord.
Okay, well, you got one win. If you want to continue to win, as we all know, ad drops in the waiver wire is a huge thing to not only winning each week, but keeping your team relevant with injuries, with COVID lists. Ad drop is a huge thing in fantasy football. And with that, Riley Sheppard is going to break down his top 5 ads of the week.
Thank you, Tyler. And, let me just say that it hurts my heart so much that I currently have the same record as Okelo. I did score 125 this week, which if I would have matched up with either of you, I would have won. But unfortunately, I went up against Ross, and he went off this week. And like you said, at this point of the season, it's very important. Ad drops are very important. And here are my top 5 for this week. At number 1, I have Tim Patrick. With KJ Hamler going down, Tim Patrick stepped up huge. 5 receptions for 98 yards, and he would have been a top 10 receiver if he would have pulled in a touchdown this week. He didn't, but he has been one of the most consistent receivers throughout fantasy this year, one of the most slept on. He's posted over 11 PPR each of the last 3 weeks. At number 2, I have Rashad Bateman. He could still be sidelined this week, but as a sleeper in the upcoming weeks, definitely consider picking him up. At number 3, I have Emmanuel Sanders, and he's still going to be a number 2, possibly even a number 3 behind Stephon Diggs and Cole Beasley. But as you saw this past week, him and Cole Beasley can work together really well. They're 2 very viable weapons at wideout. At number 4, I have Chuba Hubbard. With Christian McCaffrey on the IR, he's not on the IR yet, but with Christian McCaffrey down, Chuba Hubbard is one that a lot of people are going to be picking up. If you have the option to pick him up, definitely do so. And finally, at number 5, I have a tight end, Dalton Schultz. He has proven to be the number 1 tight end in Dallas. It was a competition in the offseason on who was going to be that number 1 tight end in Dallas, but he's asserted himself as that weapon. He took off on Sunday, and I think he's going to continue to do so. And he's going to be, with how weak tight ends are outside of the top 4 or 5 in the NFL this year, he's a sleeper for sure.
Well, can I just say this, Riley? You love to steal from me, don't you? I literally mentioned Tim Patrick last week, and you just want to ride off the coattails off of my success, man. What is wrong with you? You talk about my picks, but yet you still wound up choosing one of my guys.
But you know what?
Who are you?
You know what?
Who are you?
Okelo, you didn't pick him up. I just picked him up on the waiver wire. So how
I'm loaded at receiver. I got Marvin Jones.
He's going to be on your list, and you're just not even standing by your word. I put him on my list and still saw he was available in our league, and I picked him up, and that was your number 1 mistake.
That was Okelo, I was with you, but Riley just won me over.
But
you
right.
can't have it.
I'm loaded.
Is Marvin Jones a better throughout the season? Is Marvin Jones a better option?
Yes, because he's
no, absolutely not.
When Jerry Jeudy comes back, they have Noah Fan in the offense. They're incorporating KJ Hamler, Trevor Lawrence, and Marvin Jones are like this so far at the beginning of the season. They're going to continue their high magic. If there's anything we know about quarterback and rookie wide receiver combos is that they will always choose a guy. And right now, it's been the same thing. Cam Newton to Steve Smith, Andrew Luck to Reggie Wayne. It's the same thing that's going to happen between Trevor Lawrence and Marvin Jones, and I can take that to the bank. I mean, even Joe Burrow right now with Jamar Chase. So I will take that to the bank that Marvin Jones will be better by season's end, maybe even slip in the top 15 of fantasy wide receivers.
All right, I want to go down to Emmanuel Sanders. Who I agree this week finished with 26, 27 points in your PPR league. He's going to have weeks like that. Is he someone you should probably add and needs to be on a roster after last week? Probably. Do you start him this week? Absolutely not.
Against the Texans? Yes.
No, because, and I'll tell you why. Because again, Emmanuel Sanders has been one of those guys the last couple seasons.
But
he's been your Christian Kirk.
But he's it's the Texans.
The Texans, who are not right, they're not a good defense. I will give you that. They're one of the worst in the league. But as we have mentioned, Buffalo has a lot of mouths to feed in that offense. And I'm not saying, like I said, Emmanuel Sanders should be on a roster, as well as Cole Beasley, Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis. All of those guys should be rostered.
Knox.
Right? Yep. All those guys should be rostered. But it's who do you start? Outside of Diggs, that's where it's not a lock every week on starting those Buffalo guys because you just don't know who's going to get it. I mean, Diggs got he finished with 10 or whatever this week.
Yeah,
it was
not a good week to I had Stephon Diggs.
Right.
It wasn't a good week. I'm still waiting for that jump game that he's going to give me.
Yeah, and I agree. There are a lot of mouths to feed in Buffalo. Josh Allen has a lot of mouths to feed. And I would still put Stephon Diggs, and I would even put Cole Beasley over Emmanuel Sanders. I don't disagree with that. If Cole Beasley was available against Emmanuel Sanders this week, I would have picked him up for sure.
Yeah, absolutely right.
And it's week to week, and Emmanuel Sanders is one that he's going to have 2 touchdowns, maybe one other week this season if we're lucky, but he's one that can consistently put up 50 receiving yards week to week.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with that. Like I said, I think he's someone you should be on a roster, not somebody that you should be wanting to start this week, in my opinion. And that's the risk you run with any Buffalo receiver. But like we saw last week, we saw Cole Beasley. He performed. I think he finished with 21 fantasy points in the PPR.
22.
And then you saw Emmanuel Sanders finish with 26, 27. So
and then Dawson Knox also put up some good points too.
Right. And so you see there how that there are mouths to feed, but they can all get fed against Stephon Diggs. I wouldn't expect him to have another outing like that. But absolutely. So we're going to move on now to our matchups for this week. We have Johnny Jackson now going against Alex Funderburk. I'll be going up against Kyle, who just lost to Okelo. So that should be an indication of a 3-0 guy going against someone who just lost to Okelo, the one you want to bet on this week.
Don't get your horses in a pedal now. I'm still pretty good.
You got our producer of HTF Bets, Austin Walker, against Riley Sheppard. Ross will go up against Hannah Joe, and Kayla Burge. You got Kayla this week. Okelo. What are your thoughts about that matchup coming up?
I would just like to say, whatever camera's rolling on me, I'll look at you. Kayla, you're going to be a good opponent. I'm looking forward for a good matchup. I won my first game. I'm not expecting miracles, but I am expecting to give you my best, and I'm going to give everything I got so that I could have and be above 500. And, I'll find a way to kick your butt. If I have to burn sage or do anything, I'm willing to do whatever it takes so that I can regain my glory. But let's have a good game this week. That's all I got to say. I'm not expecting a win or a loss, but I'm expecting something competitive, and I'm expecting something to where I'm going to give you and grit you down to your teeth like I did with Alex in the week in front.
Closing remarks of this segment 2 is Okelo is not confident. I have never heard Okelo so calm in my life when he is talking about someone he is going against. So Okelo is just not confident versus Kayla. I don't know if it's because it's the lovely Kayla Burge, but I have never heard Okelo so calm in my life. So
maybe this is what Okelo needs. Maybe he just needs to be zen going into the week, and maybe that's the luck that he needs.
Look, I got the like Mike magic by taking Kyle's shirt off last week and not wearing this glorious turtleneck with my chain. But at the end of the day, I got to do what I got to do. So I got to do new tactics next week. Obviously, I can't swap Chloe, but I'm gonna find a way. I'm gonna talk to Burning Sage, get Kyrie, maybe get some Zen on me. We'll see.
All right. Well. We'll let you know next week. We'll keep you updated on if Okelo comes out with the victory. That's going to be all the time that we have for fantasy football. But joining in next week, so I can tell you that I will be 4-0 next week at this time. Okelo will be 1-3. But stay with us. UCF football is back this weekend, and we're going to dive into the cover, into the spread, the over-under, and all bets UCF. So stay with us.
Here's the story of a show creator who was gearing up to form a bigger crew. One's a California guy,
a god of graphics.
One hosted Girls on Deck.
It's a story of a 4-year nightmare, which is finally coming to an end, thank God.
And the new kid, a Packers lover,
Tampa forever. So then one day all these people work together to face a year unlike one that's ever been. And his group rebranded in Orlando. That's the way we all became HTFN. 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 That's the way we became HTFN. That's blasphemy!
Welcome back, everybody, to HTF Bets. Diving into our UCF football segment. We had a bye week last week. Thank goodness for that. We really needed it with injuries and just time to emotionally accept that loss to Louisville 2 weeks ago. That was a heartbreaker, a great game from first snap to the end, and unfortunately, our Knights came out on the wrong side. Now this week, a very different matchup than 2 weeks ago. We will be at Navy, where we are a 16.5-point underdog. With that, I want to welcome to HTF Bets Kayla Lewis, who it is her first time on any HTF Network show. So Kayla, how are you doing today, and what do you think about this UCF spread?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited. I know UCF is a 16.5 favorite. I think that's just right. You have Mikey Keene, the freshman, coming on for Dylan Gabriel. You also might have Johnny Richardson coming on for Isaiah Bauer if he isn't injured. So, yeah, I think it's just right.
I'm not digging the spread as much, Tyler.
I'm not either.
This is like, look, we have one of the worst defenses, in my opinion, in all of college football. Our run defense, granted, can stop the triple option, but at the end of the day, I'm just not confident. You have a freshman quarterback coming in. I think the spread should be a little lower than that. I mean, obviously Navy's 0-3. They're the worst team in the American, but, the triple offense with their coach, they don't have Sam Abel as their quarterback since I don't even remember the last time, I mentioned his name. But I'm just not confident because of the situation we're going in. If this was Dylan Gabriel, I'd probably say something different. But I think this might be a 5-point game, to be honest with you. I wouldn't even be surprised if we even break 30 points. I'm thinking that we might even do like 25 at least.
That's the big question, Riley, is UCF has a 31-game streak of scoring at least 30 points. And I think that's in major jeopardy this week with freshman quarterback Mikey Keene, with Isaiah Bowser not in the lineup. What do you think about that streak, and is it actually in jeopardy?
I don't think the streak is in jeopardy. I would put a bet on the streak more than I would on the spread. I will say that. I think the Knights clear 30 points, but I also think they also give up 17.
That's exactly what I have.
I would say that Travis Williams, a lot of people were very high on him coming into the season. And, against Bethune-Cookman and against Boise, he did a decent job. But against Louisville, against a triple option offense, that's going to be a big key and keeping the game simple for Mikey Keene. Keeping the game simple is going to be what gives the Knights the W going into this game.
Yeah, and I think that Isaiah Bowser being not cleared to play for this week yet, I think that's a huge thing for Mikey Keene, because that's keeping it simple. Nothing more simple than getting in shotgun, hiking the ball, and giving it to Isaiah Bowser, who's been unbelievable running through the gaps this year. So I think not having him makes Mikey Keene, it gets more pressure on him. Now, luckily, this is going up against 0-3 Navy, who have
worst offense in the FBS.
That just barely even squeaked by against Houston last week.
Right, yeah, that's one thing that with this spread, they just played Houston, who is in another AAC conference.
One of the better teams in the AAC.
And Houston only won 28-20. It was an 8-point game, and you're going to come out and give UCF a 16.5-point spread with a freshman quarterback and without their star running back? I just don't think it's going to happen. What I do think is a bet that you should take is, and I can't believe I'm saying this, is the under on a UCF game.
Yeah.
Kayla, what do you think about that? The over-under right now is set at 53. I think it's going to go under. Do you think that has a shot of going over?
I would also agree that it's going to go under. I think now that you mentioned, Mikey Keene is the freshman coming on, not as much experience in the college football area. I would say under as well.
I would, and you know what? It would be a miracle if Mikey Keene just turns into Trevor Lawrence and our season is saved.
Well, that's a big ask. We saw Mikey Keene play a little bit in the first couple of weeks, and it's been, he's been solid.
He's wearing number 16. Let's just pop Trevor Lawrence on.
This is no disrespect to Mikey Keene. He was one of the best quarterbacks in Arizona last year. And it's hard coming on as a freshman in the middle of a season, filling in Dylan Gabriel's shoes, who is a Heisman candidate preseason.
Yeah, and that's going to be a big game to watch this week at 3:30. We're in transition to now. NBA is back. We're so close. We have our first preseason game. Might be the preview of the NBA Finals this year with the Lakers and the Nets. So, and those are the two favorites. The Nets come in at plus 240 to win it all, and the Lakers come in at plus 400 to win it all.
Until them dang Nuggets come out.
Oh boy. So, Riley,
yes.
do you think that this is a finals preview?
If the Nets and the Lakers are not your preseason finals prediction, I don't know what you're on. I don't know what you're on. Barring any injuries, of course. We know how big injuries play in a role in the NBA. The Lakers reloaded. They reloaded. I think Rondo is probably their most underrated pickup this season. He played a huge role in when they won the finals 2 seasons ago now. And look, they actually have weapons for LeBron to take some weight off of his shoulders, especially playmaking goes, picking up Westbrook. Even Kendrick Nunn is an underrated pickup for them. Malik Monk, they have shooters now, which was their biggest weakness last year.
Yeah, okay, Life, I feel it. I feel your energy right now. You got something
the Lakers,
to say.
Here's my thought about the Lakers. They're a bunch of old men who,
That's a fact.
if LeBron has another injury or AD has another injury, they might do something, but they're not really my finals favorite because at the end of the day, like the West is so competitive. You still have the Clippers, you still have the Phoenix Suns, you still have my Denver Nuggets when Jamal Murray comes back healthy. Like, look, I think the Lakers, of course, I mean, it's LeBron James. I'm never going to doubt LeBron James ever. He's 38, ages like fine wine. But it's just, I'm just really concerned because, the injuries last year, there's a training camp now. There was time to rest a lot for the Lakers. It's a good grace period for them. But I really got to see. Frank Vogel's system is something that you really have to make sure that all stars and the planets and moons align. Like I said, the West is going to be competitive. It is the Wild Wild West. But I just don't think that right now, based off of everything, it's not my team.
No, the West is deep. But you know who you left out? Why were the Warriors not on your list? Why were the
They're
Warriors?
done. It's over. Get over 2019. It's over. The dynasty is dead. Klay Thompson coming back. Andre Iguodala. It doesn't matter. Let it go. I have the Mavs over them. Are you kidding me?
Kayla, is the Warriors dynasty dead, or is there a different team in the West? Is it proper that the Lakers are favorited as the best team in the West?
I would say that it is proper. The Lakers are favorited. I mean, them and the Nets have some of the biggest superstars in the NBA right now, so I think it could be a finals preview.
They win one, and Nikola Jokic wins MVP, and Okelo doesn't know how to act.
You're gone.
He doesn't know how to act.
Jokic wins MVP and gets bounced in the first round.
No, the second round without Jamal Murray, and he gets fouled out in the last game off of a BS call. We're getting back to the conference finals this year, and we are going to be your 2021-2022 NBA champions.
Yeah, I don't agree with that, but I do agree. I do agree that the Jamal Murray injury was huge, and I don't think that is talked about enough for that Nuggets team. I think they were a very solid team. I just don't, when you put them up against LeBron and AD,
they can't.
We have Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr. We got scorers, Will Barton.
Right, Michael Porter Jr. just got a terrible bag. That's why they paid that contract this early. I mean, he has great potential. He has the size. He has it. But it's way too much, way too early. So last, we're going into our surefire picks of the week. I am 4-0. I'm the only undefeated host, so listen to me. I had the Bucks to cover the 6.5 point spread against the Patriots.
All right, so I'm going to do a double one to hopefully get my luck up. Michigan, +1 over Wisconsin, and for Hannah Joe, I got the Broncos over the Ravens, baby. Let's go Broncos.
All right, Riley.
Arkansas covering the spread against Georgia. Book it.
I like it. And lastly, Kayla.
I'm going to say Titans -8 over the Jets.
All right. And those are locked. We'll let you know next week if those hit. Thank you for joining us for another HTF Bets. We'll be back next week. We can't wait to see you again, and we will see you next week.
Check it later, knuckleheads.